think I'll be ready.
Oh.
I think it'll be just fine.
What is up, Bengals fam? Hey, look, I know you guys wanted to freak out yesterday. I saw some of you doing it. I tried to tell you not to. But your boy Mike is here. Uncle Mike's here to make it okay. We're going to talk about a big clutch day 2 in free agency for the Bengals, and we're going to look ahead to some offensive line because, hey, they haven't added any. But also, that's not surprising. I wasn't expecting the Bengals to go spend huge money on free agent offensive linemen, and I don't think you should have either. So let's look at some options that they're going to have for like tier 3 guys that are going to come in and contribute, right? And I think the Bengals are signaling here that that they're banking on the depth of this NFL draft offensive line class to get them some contributors, right? And that's probably not a horrible bet, but you never want to go into the draft needing contributors at specific positions. That's a bummer. But hey, rebuilds take time, and building culture takes time and wins. So we'll get into that in a minute. First, let's wait a little bit. Mike, Hilton, Chidobe, Awuzie, Trey Hendrickson. These are 3 guys that are going to be big-time contributors for the Bengals. Look, if I love me some Carl Lawson and William Jackson III, but if losing them and then you're going to lose them, you end up replacing them. Trey Hendrickson is not a one-for-one replacement for Carl Lawson. They're completely different players. They both have, I think, very similar ceilings. However, Trey Hendrickson's more of a super high motor, never stop pursuit, pass rushing defensive end. He's not ever put up really good run stopping numbers, but he can and will get after the pass, and he can play 3 downs as well. Add him to a defensive line, that's going to have a healthy Geno Atkins. It's going to have a healthy DJ Reader. And it's going to have a Sam Hubbard coming off of one of his better years. Sam Hubbard is who he is. We know that he's a solid player. He doesn't dominate any games, but he doesn't cost you a lot of big plays either. He really he's a really solid contributor. But William Jackson III, look, he hasn't been signed yet. There's a reason for that. I think teams have some question marks about William Jackson's health, about his ability to play in more complicated schemes other than just man. We saw last year, if you ask him to do anything other than kind of bump man coverage, he struggles a little bit, and I'm not sure. Maybe that lowers the price for him. The Bengals are out of the market for William Jackson III unless the price drops a crazy amount, which I don't think it will. But they've got 2 guys here that fit Lou Anarumo's scheme better anyway. I know you guys are saying Lou's going to be out the door in the next year. You don't know that. Nobody knows. Anybody saying that Lou is going to be gone doesn't know that. This is the year you got to put up or shut up. There's no more of this. It's the COVID season, and they didn't get an off season with Joe Burrow, and it doesn't matter. You got to put up or shut up at this point. You've got your zone corners that you can play that 3 deep zone, which is what Lou's trying to do. He's trying to install a more 3 deep zone situation and become more multiple, so he can bring these guys in on blitzes as well. And let's not forget Mike Hilton and Chidobe Awuzie, really good zone corners. Also really good run defending corners. Okay, so I like I don't like losing Carl Lawson, but I really love getting these 3 guys. Let's look at some offensive line options still available to the Bengals, and these were always going to be the more reasonable options for the Bengals anyway. They were not probably going to be in on guys pulling in 15, 16 million a year, even with these really fancy contract structures. Because all you're doing with those, these guys are still asking for guaranteed money. You're just saying, okay, we'll give you the guaranteed money, but most of it's going to come in year 2. The Bengals don't want to handicap themselves next year for re-signing their guys, right, and signing more free agents if they need to. the salary cap's going to go up probably a historic amount because it went down for the first time like ever this past year. So it will go up a lot, but these guys are banking on it going up quite a bit if they're going to want to be able to get under the cap next year. The Bengals will not have nearly as much problem doing that. So let's check it out. Gabe Jackson. Gabe Jackson is he was released by the Raiders. This what you have here on the screen is what PFF says about Jackson in their free agency profile. Jackson has been one of the best pass blocking guards in NFL since coming into the league, but his PFF blocking grade of 69.9 last year was the worst mark post of his career. You hope that's an aberration and not a trend. He is over 30, so hope. However, Jackson didn't allow a sack, but surrendered 26 total pressures. So, look, getting pressured is not something I'm worried about. Joe Burrow actually performs really, really well moving around in the pocket. Not a huge deal. The big thing is he keeps bodies off of the quarterback. That's a big deal. Look for a little bit of action around Gabe Jackson. Hey, and by the way, if any of these guys get signed by the time you watch this, don't worry about it. Free agent, that's free agency. Trey Turner, this is a guy that you actually kind of want to go after. He's younger. Turner looked like one of the best guards in football early in his career, but that play is getting further in his rear view. What he's seen lately have been far less impressive. Look, that means that he can come in. You can get him pretty cheap probably because teams aren't going to throw a bunch of money at him. He can come in and push guys like Mike Jordan. If it's put up or shut up, like next season's put up or shut up, not just for the coaching staff, but for a lot of these players. If Mike Jordan, this is probably his last chance. If he doesn't improve and become the guy they thought he was going to be, look, he's still really young, but man, how much time can you waste waiting for a guy to become the guy you need him to be? Trey Turner could come in and be there in case he's not. You'd rather have a Trey Turner like guy to be able to come in and fill that spot. His final season with Carolina saw a PF grade slump into the 60s. That still would make him one of the better Bengals offensive linemen. Trent Williams would be a huge get. This is the best tackle left available. He is 32, I believe, but he's going to be 32. But PFF's projecting him to get a 4-year contract because of how much it looks like he still has in the tank. You're talking an Andrew Whitworth type longevity to Trent Williams, except he might be better.
I don't believe you.
Which is crazy. If you were to sign him to come in and play right tackle for you, all of a sudden, man, it clears up so much, so much anxiety about your offensive line. I mean, if you're going to sign one guy on the offensive line and that's it for this offseason, make it this guy. After not playing a snap in 2019, Williams is back in his rightful place as one of the league's best offensive tackles. He can play in any scheme, moving defenders at the point of attack or cutting them off on the backside of zone plays. By the way, that's what the Bengals want out of their tackles, cutting people off on the backside of zone plays and reaching for that outside linebacker on wide zones. Williams basically never had a bad season in the NFL. Look, he's just good. He would come in and immediately be the best lineman the Bengals have had since they let Whitworth go. Whitworth and Zeitler, So, look, this would be huge. Can they get him? Is the money going to be right? I don't know. People are probably going to throw pretty good money at him. So if the Bengals want to be in on this, they're going to have to be creative about how much they're willing to throw at Trent Williams. Next would be Eric Fisher. Eric Fisher he was cut, kind of surprisingly cut. The Chiefs cut several offensive linemen kind of out of nowhere. Nobody expected it, but Eric Fisher and Mitchell Schwartz as well. Fisher is a really good right tackle. He was one of the better right tackles in the league, and I think he's 31. Something like that. Fisher was putting together the best season of his NFL career in 2020, and his loss in the AFC Championship game proved to be a real body blow for the Chiefs' offensive line that was overwhelmed in the Super Bowl. Fisher allowed just 3 sacks across almost 800 pass blocking snaps, but a ruptured Achilles so late in the season will make for a difficult decision for him. So, look, another reason the Bengals may be able to get a plus right tackle on the cheap, right? Because there are going to be teams that probably don't want to take the risk on Eric Fisher. Maybe the physical comes back and he just can't play anymore. And if that's the case, he'll retire and we don't need to talk about it. But if he can play, if he passes medicals, and the doctors say he's going to recover completely, be the same guy he used to be, that's a big deal, man. You could bring in Eric Fisher here. Really, he's not going to solidify the right side, probably not anything like Trent Williams would, but man, he would be a good get. Next one was kind of a surprise cut. I think this happened today. Rodney Hudson, a center, out for the Raiders. They went ahead and cut him. There you can see right there, since 2015, almost 3,500 pass blocking snaps, only 3 sacks allowed. This would be a big deal too. This is the same rationale I used for Corey Linsley if the Bengals were to try to go after him. If they were to try to go after Rodney Hudson here, you can see the Bengals doing a lot of stuff by signing a center, because Trey Hopkins can play guard. Actually, I'm pretty sure Rodney Hudson can also play guard, depending on which way you wanted to go there. But you get versatile offensive linemen that can play all 3 interior spots. You open up a lot of possibilities for yourself, and you also cut off another one of those need draft picks that you're going to have to go to get later in the draft. So Rodney Hudson would be a big one. Look for him to be a target in this draft. Let's talk a little bit about culture and about what we should be expecting going forward from the Bengals. Look, like it or not, the facts are this. They hired a young first-time head coach who went deep into the playoffs and therefore didn't get a lot of time to be around his team and his players, right? They came into a COVID-shortened offseason where Joe Burrow didn't get a full camp and they couldn't install the full offense. They weren't, because Zach Taylor wasn't hired until later in the process. They probably didn't get the defensive coordinator and the other positional coaches that they wanted. It's just the nature of it. But they are convinced, ownership, players, the media. Look, the only people that aren't convinced that it's a new day are you guys. It's the fans. Let's get behind this, man. The worst that can happen is they prove to us that they're still the same old Bengals, and you're right back here where you started, right? Being negative and saying this stuff will never change. I'm offering another way, right? It takes time to look, when you hire a college football coach, you really don't evaluate that coach until around year 3, when his freshman recruits from his first season start to get into the starting lineup, and then you start to see the kind of team they're starting to build. But look, Lou Anarumo doesn't run much man defense, but this defense was set up to run man before he got here. He had to change it all. He had to change it all up. This is what you see with Awuzie and the signings today. Mike Hilton. Okay, the Bengals before Zach Taylor got there to install his offense, they didn't run a lot of 11 personnel the way that Zach Taylor likes to run. Their offensive line was set up for more of a gap power scheme to run. He wanted to change that and has been changing it to more of a wide zone type scheme. So we need to understand that, especially with an organization like the Bengals, who don't always keep a lot of cash on hand to offer big money to big free agents, you need to understand they're never really going to be in consideration for those big time free agents. But they need to hit on draft picks, and they have, I think, in the past. Zach Taylor's drafts have not been that bad. In fact, I expect big years coming up out of guys like Khalid Kareem, guys like Akeem Davis-Gaither, guys that have flashed on tape, right? But in spot situations, I expect them to take big jumps going forward, and they've got the right guys culturally in the room. We'll start holding them accountable if they don't win games next year. But right now, let's just believe. Let's believe that they're telling us the truth and they know what they're doing. Like I said, worst case scenario, the same thing, the same feeling you always feel about this team, you'll feel it again. Worst case scenario, right? So, listen, guys, I'm going to leave you with that Takeo Spikes jersey. How about that? Crazy, huh? Love you guys. I'll see you next time. Big time Houday from your boy Mike. Houday!